Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode number one of SUG Your Way Through. I don't know if you know it or not, but SUG stands for Striving Under Grace. It started off as struggling under grace until one of my girlfriends texted me and was like, "SUG, come on now. You can't be struggling forever." So now it stands for Striving Under Grace. And it reminds me of the process of divorce as we try to strive through the process to get to acceptance, which is the final stage. And so today, I want to talk about the emotions of divorce. Now, there are tons of them, hundreds of them. For this particular series, so we're going to address six of them, and we're going to start at shame. As I coach women, that's probably the hardest place to start because that is where most women are stuck until they're able to go through the process. Why are we shameful? And I say we because I was in this process for a while and I was in this shameful state because of these reasons. Shame, shamed of what people are going to say and think. Shame that when I put my marital status on an application for the first time, I would check divorce. Shamed of what society is going to think because all of a sudden I've got like this letter A. You know what I'm saying? It's like as if now we're these dysfunctional women. Shamed that maybe we allowed things that we said we never would allow in our lives. Shame. Shame that possibly when we separate, people will find out that the relationship was abusive or toxic. Shame that we have to tell our children, sit them down or whatever, and tell them that we are no longer going to be a family. Shame that now I'm called a divorcee. Shame of the things that I have put on myself. And so here we are sometimes in shame. And shame has two danger zones that I think. First of all, it allows us or forces us to stay into situations that we should have gotten out of a long time ago. And two, it gives us a label that once we put that on, it's hard to take off unless we determine we're not going to put it on in the first place. And like I said, I dealt with this for about 6 months until finally I had to say, okay, now you were the one who left. So boss up. So I'm going to give you three tips that I hope that will help you. Number one, like I said, boss up. You got to be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself about the role that you played in the divide of the marriage. Yes, here we are. Here we are. Yet, if we're not honest with ourselves, we can fool ourselves and move forward. Yet, we'll move forward in phoniness and fakeness. So, number one, you got to be blatantly honest with yourself. Number two, since you're now blatantly honest with yourself and you've owned it, because you've got to take ownership, when you tell your story, when you're ready, then you're telling your story from a stance of ownership. You're not telling your story from a stance of shame because you've dealt with that. And so when you tell your story, if someone wants to inflict the shame on you, no, no, I'm dealt with that. And I have found that shame is usually an external thing that's inflicted on us, and we take on that internally. You think about it, because society says shame. That's something external that we take on. So we go through step number one. No, we dealt with it. So when we tell our story in step number two, we tell it from ownership. And then step number three, rewrite your story. This is the time in your life when you can rewrite the next chapter in the story of your life. And I have known from experience and from coaching other women, the narrative that we rewrite for our story in step number three is the narrative and the story that we will live from here on after. I hope that those tips helped you because we can't dwell on this. None of these states can we dwell in too long because, like I said, it's danger in staying somewhere too long because we take on that characteristic, we take on that attribute, and we take on that label. And I'm telling you what, I have disclosed myself from shame. All right, to the next time. If you need some help, please just DM Shame. To the next time, be well, stay healthy. Peace.